The attack happened inside this Southern California synagogue, allegedly at the hands of a 19-year-old man. Authorities say he gunned down worshipers, killing one woman and injuring 3 others, including a young girl.
He was just focused to kill. You saw the hate and you saw the murder in his eyes.
The suspect has been widely reported. Identify the suspect as John Ernest.
According to the sheriff, upwards of 100 people may have been inside the synagogue.
And he had a vest, and he had like clips in the vest. You know, he was ready.
After the gunman opened fire, authorities say he tried to get away. Officials say a short time later, the shooter surrendered, calling into authorities to turn himself in.
As our officer was exiting the freeway, he clearly saw the suspect in his vehicle. Suspect pulled over, jumped out of his car with his hands up. As the officer was placing this 19-year-old male into custody, he clearly saw a rifle sitting on the front passenger seat of the suspect vehicle. And the suspect, as I said, was taken into custody without any further incident.
As a precaution, the San Diego Police Department said it was providing extra patrols to nearby houses of worship. Kenneth Craig, CBS News.
We want to apologize. We had a few technical difficulties there, but now we're back up and running. The synagogue shooting comes 6 months to the day after 11 people were killed at the Tree of Life Synagogue massacre in Pittsburgh. And security forces have recovered explosives, detonators, suicide kits, military uniforms, and Islamic State group flags during a raid on a suspected militant safe house in eastern Sri Lanka. At least 15 people, including 6 children, were killed in a blast during the nighttime raid, which was linked to the Easter bombings. The gun battle began late on Friday after police tipped off soldiers to the suspected safe house. Authorities said the militants set off 3 explosions and opened fire. Police said some of the dead were likely militants who blew themselves up in suicide bombings. And eyewitness footage shows French police arresting protesters as yellow vest demonstrators marched towards the European Parliament building in Strasbourg on Saturday. In what is the 24th consecutive weekend of protests against President Emmanuel Macron's policies, protesters were back on the streets across France 2 days after the president outlined policy proposals, including tax cuts worth around 5 billion euros. Around 2,000 demonstrators gathered. And now let's check in with meteorologist Shane Smith for a look at your forecast this morning. Shane, how does it look out there today?
Taylor, going to be a little bit on the chilly side today with plenty of clouds to start off this morning. Let's take a look at our weather cam up on top of US 119 at the top of Pine Mountain. And you can see it's been a dry night for the most part after some showers late in the day on your Saturday. And now we are seeing mainly dry conditions. Pinpoint Doppler picking up on some rain in West Virginia, but here in the mountains of eastern Kentucky for right now, mainly dry. Can't rule out an isolated shower sparking up in the next couple of hours, though. We have a cold front currently working its way across the mountains into West Virginia and Virginia as we speak. And as that front moves on to the east, 1 or 2 isolated showers could fire up on the backside of this front. You'll notice temperatures right now low to mid 60s across the board. Good morning hazard. We're checking in at 63, 64 in London and Pikeville. A little cooler across the border in Wise. Notice though the winds beginning to move from the west, and eventually they're going to start coming out of the northwest, and that's going to keep those temperatures pretty much steady for the rest of the day, so it's about as warm as it's going to get. You can see on your 12-hour planner, expecting those temperatures to stay into the 50s and 60s for most of the day. The good news is, should see some clearing by this afternoon, although the temperature is not really going to respond to that sunshine. Also could see some wind gusts pushing 25 to 30 miles per hour, so be aware of that. However, warmer weather is on the way. A little early taste of summer is coming the first couple of days this week. We'll have more details about that in the full forecast here in a few minutes, Taylor.
Thank you, Shane. Recovery efforts move forward at Louisiana Tech after a devastating EF3 tornado shredded parts of campus. Crews began moving fallen tree and debris into trucks early yesterday morning, but the damage left over is still astonishing. This video shows a massive tree that toppled over onto 3 cars, smashing them by student housing. One student we spoke with says she didn't think the storm would amount to much. School officials called off classes to clean. And in Mozambique, the strongest cyclone ever to hit the country has demolished homes and knocked out power. This powerful cyclone made landfall on Thursday after killing 3 people in the nearby island nation of Comoros. Although winds have died down, heavy rain is expected over the next few days. This storm hit exactly 6 weeks after Cyclone Idai tore into central Mozambique, killing more than 700 people. And Russell County, Virginia emergency crews say 5 men are trapped in the Cyclops Cave. Emergency coordinator Jeff Powers says the men went in the cave on Saturday with intentions of spending the night. Powers says heavy rainfall saturated the cave, making it hard for the men to get back out. A cave rescue team from Radford, Virginia is now on the way. For now, no injuries have been reported, and Powers says the men are simply cold and wet. Of course, as always, we'll continue to update this story as we learn more. And back here in the Bluegrass, a 19-year-old is behind bars after running from police when asked to pay his taxi cab fee. The Laurel County Sheriff's Office says deputies arrested Jason Lay early Saturday morning just 10 miles south of London on Robert E. Cox Road. Lay allegedly received a ride to his apartment but never paid the driver before walking inside. When deputies arrived, the driver told police where Lay went. A female inside the apartment told police he was inside. Lay resorted to running out the front door after a failed attempt to get away by climbing through a window. Police followed and soon caught him nearby. Lay was arrested and charged with fleeing or evading police and resisting arrest. And also in Laurel County, a woman was arrested after deputies found her passed out behind the wheel of a crashed vehicle. This is Rebecca J. Blevins. Police responded to her single vehicle crash off Tuttle Road just after 7 p.m. on Friday. The Laurel County Sheriff's Office says Blevins appeared to be extremely under the influence as she cursed and yelled at deputies and EMS crews. Authorities say Blevins' vehicle ended up partially in both a driveway and a ditch after she crossed an oncoming lane of traffic. Deputies say Blevins smelled of alcohol and she allegedly struck an officer's hands, knocking the radio from his grasp. Police say she continued to spit all over prison cells and curse as they took her to jail. Blevins is charged with operating a motor vehicle under the influence, among other charges. And Handmade in Hindman held their 4th annual celebration yesterday at the HCTC Kentucky School of Craft building. WYMT's Lauren McCourt talked with local artists who say keeping the Appalachian culture alive is what it's all about.
Many years have come and gone, and as time goes by, some say Appalachian culture is fading.
It's such an important time for us to be able to look back and remember our roots and our culture and our heritage and where we came from.
Making sure we don't forget where we came from. Hazard Community and Technical College, along with the Appalachian Artisan Center, teamed up to host Handmade in Hindman.
Just keeping these skills alive. A lot of people collect these tools. There's a tool here I'm using called a froe in a froe mall. People collect them, but they don't know what they did.
From walking sticks,
and some fancy whittling where we go with the grain, with the lines in the wood and how the tree grew to make a good hiking stick.
To weaving baskets.
There's not any nails, there's not any glue.
These folks want to continue the Appalachian crafts that were passed down to them.
And my dad took the bark off of a poplar tree and folded it over and laced it together and made a basket, and that's the first one I ever saw.
Though it may take a little time.
You really have to have patience.
And a whole lot of effort.
When it's finished, it's worth it.
Continuing the mountain tradition is what it's all about. In Knott County, Lauren McCourt, WYMT Mountain News.
President Lyndon says they had a wonderful turnout this year and they can't wait to plan for years to come. In April is National Child Abuse Prevention Month. Many in Pikeville gather to bring awareness to the cause on Saturday. Around 250 people laced up their shoes for the 12th annual Judy's Place for Kids Run with Courage 5K. After the race, nearly 1,000 people packed the Pikeville Park. Former First Lady Judy Patton says it's important to keep the topic of child abuse awareness and prevention going.
Awareness, awareness, awareness. Talk, talk, talk. Keep it out in front for everybody to see.
Judy's Place for Kids is a nonprofit organization providing resources to children who suffer from a variety of maltreatment. Multiple booths were set up to give out information and free items. The money raised during the race will go towards funding Judy's Place. Coming up on Mountain News this morning, one local company gives out free trees. We'll have highlights of more spring activities coming up next. And while many Wildcats heard their names called at the NFL draft or picked up undrafted free agency deals, one Wildcat is not returning to Lexington.
A cool and windy day is set for Eastern Kentucky today, but another round of early summer heads our way tomorrow. Much warmer forecast coming up after the break.